Hey guys, Sandy here. Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to Follow a Sketch February. We are almost at the end of the month, you guys. It is February 27th. The sketch today is from Juliana Michaels, and it is this sketch right here with two photos, some embellishment, and some wonky papers. I've got an idea. I'm not exactly sure how I'm going to execute that idea, but the idea is there. So let's see what I can do. All right, guys, so I'm starting out with this dark brown wood paper. Actually, all three of these papers that I'm using are from Paper House. These are my kind of go-to basics papers. Now, I am using the big kind of bold floral paper, and usually I do use the other side of it. So what I did to have these diagonal pieces of rectangles, I went ahead and cut my wood plank paper down to a 6 by 12 inch piece, and then I thought I could probably use one side of this to do what I need to do. So I'm going to mess around with this to figure out exactly where I want the wood grain paper to go. And I will say my original idea that I had, this is not my original idea. My original idea was to have the wood plank paper in the background, cut out these kind of catty corner rectangle type pieces out of the floral paper, put the tulle over, and then put sequins underneath of the tulle so that the sequins would be on top of the plank paper. However, I decided that I wanted the plank paper to go over top of the floral, so I threw out the whole kind of fake shaker idea, which is basically what that was. I probably could have just said fake shaker idea and eliminated all that extra words, but you know, I do run my mouth, and more words is more running in the mouth, right? Right. So I'm going to go ahead and use this second piece of paper, or the other half as my second piece of paper rather. And what I am doing is going to make sure that the lines of the planks line up. So I don't want the lines to be crooked. I want them to kind of line up. And of course, I slide the paper across the page, but we both know that that is not going to actually do anything. So instead of just sliding the paper across the page and fingers crossed, hoping and praying that it actually works, I'm going to use another piece of paper to actually line it up so that it is truly a straight line across, and there are no worries or anything else about the paper looking wonky or cattywampus when the layout is finished. So I am really happy with how the layout turned out, even though it wasn't my exact original plan. And sometimes, you know, you just got to be able to go with the flow. Sometimes when you have an idea in your head, it might change as you are scrapbooking, or it just might not work. Like, there are things that you try that just literally might not work. And if they don't, you can try again, see if maybe you just messed something up within your plan, or you know, move on and do something else. In this case, it wasn't a mess up that I moved on and did something else. It was just the fact that I wanted the wood grain on top of the florals, and I did not want sequins on top of the florals as well, because the florals are already a really busy paper, and I didn't want any kind of sequins or anything competing with that. So ended up going this way. And that's great, because I'm super happy with how this layout actually did turn out. So I'm using some fun foam because I am going to lift the wood plank paper up off of the florals. I needed a little bit of kind of texture and dimension on this page, because I know that I am not going to be adding a lot of embellishment. And I know that for two reasons. One, because this floral paper is so busy, I don't want anything really competing with it. And two, I don't really have a lot of true to life floral type embellishments that would coordinate with this. So, you know, you're using what you got and you're going to make do with it. So I am going to go ahead and take these foam pieces and just kind of fill in the gaps here on these papers. I want enough foam on here so that part of the wood plank paper isn't going to kind of fall down onto the background paper. And that is the whole point of putting the foam on here, because I don't want anything to fall down. Now, I did distress the edges of the paper with a close to my heart edge distresser. I have a couple different brands of edge distressors, and they all distress slightly differently. This has kind of like a medium distress to it, so I went ahead and used that one. Also, by the way, just got an email that Close to My Heart is going to be closing down their doors, which kind of sucks because they do have the White Daisy cardstock that has been a favorite of mine for a long time. But I did discover a new cardstock recently that I liked, and I guess that will definitely be the go-to cardstock now. Yeah, and I'm going to put it in the shop, so there we are. So I guess I will always have a ready amount of cardstock. Now I am layering tulle over top of this background paper here, and I'm going to tape it to the back with washi. Now I could have just stapled it because the edges are going to be covered up by these wood plank papers. And I also turned my paper and it's not in the exact position that I thought it was going to be in when I had cut and distressed the wood plank papers. It turns out okay. The floral paper still looks good. It still has the tulle over top of it. Like, I'm not worried about it whatsoever. But if it was important to you, pay attention to your paper placement, because this could have been could have gone horribly awry, but it didn't, because I really didn't care that much about the paper. Or it could have just been a situation. When we went to Jamaica on the cruise, we had to take a bus to go swim with the dolphins, and our tour guides on the bus let us know that in Jamaica, there are no problems. It is only a situation, and a situation can always be overcome. So it's just a situation, guys. Now, it is important to note that for the fun foam, the easiest way to get your ATG to stick to fun foam is to start off of the foam and roll it over the foam and end off of the foam. Because the ATG tape doesn't really like to stick to the fun foam itself until it's pressed down and adhered. It's really wild to me how this works, where I'm trying to put adhesive on the fun foam and it doesn't want to stick. But you put the adhesive down, you know, like I just described, starting off the fun foam and on the fun foam, and once you stick it down, it sticks down for good. It's amazing to me how that works, right? There's like all kinds of magical things that happen in scrapbooking, and I know that there's really science behind it, but I like to think it's magic, and this is one of those magical moments. All right, so my wood plank paper is down, my tulle is down over top of the floral paper. It doesn't really come through a lot over the camera, but it does come through in person. You can definitely see that there is a tulle over that background paper, and it kind of softens the big florals behind there. I am also cutting out a piece of paper to go ahead and mat these photos on. So I have a 4x6 photo and a 4x4 photo, and I am matting them on some distressed pattern paper here, and then I'm going to mount them on fun foam as well. Otherwise, the photos will kind of lean down into the center of the page because the fun foam is on that wood plank paper. Now, I don't feel the need to put fun foam all over the place, just enough to hold that photo up. I'm going to layer this one over top of the wood plank paper. Now in the sketch, the second photo is straight in a line with the first photo, and I decided that that's not how I want it to go. I don't like the way it looks, because I'm also not putting in a bunch of embellishment as it is in the sketch. I left that as the pattern paper and the tool. So I am going to bring in this small little doily. At first I thought I was going to use it to kind of connect the photos together and put my title there. However, I just didn't like the way it looked. It felt weird and awkward to me. So I'm going to go ahead and put it up here on the top of the 4x4 photo, and it's just going to hang out on that left-handed corner. Now I'm going to go into my stash and I'm going to pull out some labels, and labels are a great way to decorate your pages, especially when you've got such a bold pattern paper going on and you don't want a lot of your decorations to compete with that. So I'm using a couple of labels in different colors and sizes to just decorate that little corner up a little bit, make that doily kind of stand out a little bit more than it is. And then I decided, you know what, I'm not going to put a doily down here, but I am going to put a couple labels down here because I don't want to just decorate one photo and not the other this time, right? Like this time I don't want to do that. And then I'm going to bring in these tiny little tabs, which are going to bring in another little pop of color. And once that is done, then the layout is practically finished, you guys. Like I said, this layout is not going to get a lot of decoration. And you know, sometimes more is more, but sometimes less is more. So more is always more and less is more, right? Right. That just means that I do what I want and I decorate my pages how I want, and I even use the terms I want because you know, we're supposed to use the proper, air quotes, scrapbooking terms like embellishment and journaling. But I think I've definitely shared this before, but when I started scrapbooking, I called it decorating and text, and it still is decorating and text in my head. So there is that. We're decorating and going to write some text on the page. Actually, I don't write any text on this page, but I am going to put the date on one of those little tabs. I just don't remember the date. I've got some more florals from when I took these photos in our backyard. So there'll be a second coordinating page, but won't, you know, if I decide to put any text on the page, it'll go on that one. I am going to add a little bit of fun foam to this foam word that I'm using as my title. It is just the word spring. This is a Simple Stories word. And you guys know I don't go for the cutesy, but I am going to put a ladybug on this page. And the only reason why I'm doing that is because in the photo, on the bottom photo in the upper left-hand corner, there is actually a little ladybug on the leaf. So I felt it was appropriate to bring in the ladybug. But like I said, normally cutesy is not my jam. So now I have these rhinestones, and they are rhinestones that are connected so that you can pull them all up and you can put them down in a line. However, I'm just going to cut through that adhesive, and then I'm going to bring them down as single rhinestones and just put a couple around the layout. And then I decided it needed some gold splatter because all week on the cruise when we were creating our album, I gold splattered everything. So still in a gold splatter kick, so I'm going to splatter that around the rhinestones. And then that is going to do it for this layout, you guys. As you can see in the photos, you can see some of the tulle there and get that texture. Tulle is great, adds no weight. A lot of texture. All right, guys, thanks so much for watching. Please join the Scrapping Reflections Facebook group if you want to see all of the sketches, and I will see you guys again real soon for another video.